Hello, how have you been? All good? Yes. Here I am with my next upload. There's a massive surprise. There's a massive surprise for all of you. And the surprise is that I won't be talking about gender today. I won't be talking about gender today. But what I wish to talk about today is something that many students have been requesting me to talk on. That is cultural studies. And when I will be talking about cultural studies, I would be specifically talking about something called LCD. Something called LCD, that is lowest common denominator. Now, we all have seen these TV commercials, these TV advertisements, in which Salman Khan jumps. I promised you I won't talk about gender. So Salman Khan jumped from the top of a building and then ran through the mountains and then traveled over Himalayas, traveled above Alps, and almost he took paragliding as a recourse, and then he drove a car, he drove camels, he drove helicopter, he drove aeroplanes, he drove steamer, he drove whatnot to reach a parachute where he can drink Pepsi. So he took all these efforts. So Salman Khan took all these efforts to what? To drink Pepsi. So Salman took all these efforts to drink Pepsi. But the last time I checked, he was a very rich man. Last time I checked, he was a very wealthy man. He could have bought that Pepsi. He could have bought that Pepsi, but he didn't buy that Pepsi. He won't buy that Pepsi. He shouldn't buy that Pepsi. Why? It's because Pepsi is not Pepsi. Pepsi is abstraction called risk. Now this is where I would be explaining something very important in cultural studies called LCD, lowest common denominator. You know what capitalism basically does? Capitalism converts anything and everything that is abstract into concrete. Get this very clearly. What capitalism does, capitalism transforms abstract into concrete. It converts abstracts into concrete. How does it do? How does capitalism do that? Now, we all know what courage is. We all know what manhood is, don't we? But I promised you I won't talk about gender. But me being RSM, I would come to gender willy-nilly. So therefore, what capitalism does, capitalism transforms anything abstract into concrete. So what is abstract? Abstract is something that is courage is abstract. What is abstract? Manhood is abstraction. Masculinity is abstraction. Sahos, Paurushatto, these are all abstractions. Okay? Now, what capitalism does? Capitalism converts these abstractions like courage, like manhood, like bravery, like audacity, like ability to take risk loving, these abstractions into concrete, like a Pepsi jar. So when you are sipping that Pepsi can, when you are sipping that Pepsi jar, what you are sipping is not the Pepsi jar. What you are sipping is not the Pepsi can. What you are sipping is courage. What you are sipping basically is bravery. And that is exactly why Salman Khan took so many risks, so many travails, so many difficulties, so many challenges, so many masculinities to reach to Pepsi jar and sip it and drink it then. So the next time when we go to Kalu Kakur Dokan, the next time when we go to Madan Kakur Dokan, the next time when we go to Horidad Dokan, you should not ask Horida, Kaluda, Madanda, Govindoda for a can of Pepsi. You should ask Horida, Madanda, Kaluda, Govindoda a can of courage. দাদা আমাকে এক বোতল সাহসিকতা দিন, দেখবে তারপরেই তোমাকে একটা পেপসি জার বা একটা পেপসি ক্যান দিয়ে দেবে। Because what capitalism convinces you, because what capitalism makes you believe is that Pepsi jar is bravery, Pepsi bottle is courage. And this is exactly why I was telling that capitalism transforms abstractions into concrete. Like they have converted courage into Pepsi, like they have converted risk into Mountain Dew, डर के आगे जीत है, like they have converted abstraction like sexuality into Amasutra, the advertisement that Katrina Kaif features, something that I would elaborate in a separate video along the lines of food porn, where food items are constantly negotiated through sexuality. So therefore, or for that matter, the other day I was watching an advertisement of Nano car, this little Nano car, and there was a couple who were driving Nano car, and there was a couple who was driving scooty. And the couple who was driving scooty, said that, oh, so much heat, so much sun, so much rain, you have to torture. And then the camera shifts towards that couple who was driving a nano car. And there was no disturbance for that couple from sunshine, from rainfall, from weather. So, and the voiceover of that advertisement was telling the audience, like you and me, that nano gari holo shukher chabikati. Nano gari is not a gari. Nano car is not a car. Nano car is domestic happiness. So next time when you go to purchase a nano car, do not ask the seller to sell you nano car. Ask the seller to sell you domestic happiness. দাদা আমি ন্যানো গাড়ি কিনতে এসেছি এটা বলবেন না আপনারা, আপনারা বলবেন দাদা আমরা দাম্পত্য সুখ, দাম্পত্য শান্তি, দাম্পত্য ভালোবাসা কিনতে এসেছি। So therefore, when you are buying nano car, you are not buying nano car. You are basically buying domestic bliss. You are basically buying conjugal happiness. And then again, I'll go back to the lecture that I had started out with, that capitalism continuously, constantly, persistently transforms, converts abstraction into concrete. So, what is the abstraction? Abstraction is conjugal love. Abstraction is domestic happiness. This is so abstract. And what capitalism does? Capitalism transforms that domestic happiness, that conjugal love, into nano gari, which is concrete, and sells you not as nano car, but as conjugal love, but as boivahik prem. Like capitalism sells Pepsi not as a cold drinks, but as a masculinity, but as courage. So when we are consuming, we are drinking, we are sipping Pepsi, we are not sipping the drink, we are sipping bravery, we are sipping manhood, we are consuming masculinity. So Pepsi company sells masculinity as a cold drinks jar. Nano company sells domestic conjugal happiness as car. Ama Sutra sells, what does it sell? It sells sexuality. It sells erotica. It sells adultery. Almost. It sells promiscuity. Almost through that soft drink jar. Or before I wrap up this video, let me give you one last example to illustrate this theorization. That is, when we are using, many of you use Veet. What does it do? It removes excess hair, bodily hair. So you use Veet to get your removal of hair done. Fine. And then Katrina says that this is khubsurat ehsas. So khubsurat ehsas is abstract and Veet is concrete. And capitalism sells khubsurat ehsas as Veet. Capitalism sells beautiful feeling as a concrete commodity. And all these concrete commodities are the lowest common denominator of all these abstractions. That is, khubsurat ehsas is the abstraction and lowest common denominator is Veet. Bravery, courage, manhood, masculinity is the abstraction. The LCD, lowest common denominator, is Pepsi jar, Pepsi can. The domestic happiness, the conjugal bliss, is the abstraction, and the lowest common denominator LCD is nano car. Right? Risk taking, danger loving, adventure romanticizing, adventure fantasizing. The ability to love risk is abstraction, and it is concretized into Mountain Dew jar. So this is how capitalism constantly packages abstraction into concrete and sells you that concrete as abstract. And culture studies should be able to explain, when we are consuming Pepsi, we are not consuming Pepsi, we are consuming that abstraction, we are consuming that bravery. So the delight in the consumption of Pepsi is implicated in the delight in the consumption of masculinity. Okay, on popular demand, let me give you one last final example, but this is the last example. I've got to go. So, the last example is Mayer Momota. There was a Dhupkati advertisement. I think it features Amitabh Bachchan. And when that Dhupkati is lit in the evening or before puja or arati, Amitabh Bachchan says that it reminds him of the Maa Ki Mamta. So what does it remind him, Amitabh Bachchan, of? It reminds Amitabh Bachchan of maternal love. It reminds him of maternal love. So that Dhupkati is the lowest common denominator. And maternal love is the abstraction. And capitalism has done it again. Capitalism has done it again. Aplomb. Successfully. Capitalism has converted the abstraction called matritto, the abstraction called motherhood, the abstraction called maternal love into concrete package of that Dhupkati, of that Agarbatti. So when we are burning that incense, we are not burning that Agarbatti, we are smelling matritto, we are smelling maternal love, we are smelling motherhood. And whenever somebody smells motherhood, guess two people are very happy. One is capitalism, because it has successfully packaged motherhood into Dhupkati packet. So when somebody burns and smells Dhupkati, somebody loves the smell of motherhood. So how beautifully the abstract motherhood is packaged into concrete Dhupkati. And guess another one would be happy. That is patriarchy. Because I said that million times and I'll say that billions of times. Motherhood is extraordinarily, asymptomatically patriarchal. Nothing is more patriarchal than the very concept of motherhood. That's why patriarchal people loves sort of glorifying motherhood. Therefore, patriarchal people sort of loves glorifying motherhood. See? And before I go, I would request all of you, all my students, all my fans, all my followers, all my subscribers to be vigilant, that is to say, to be watchful about how capitalism successfully packages abstractions like motherhoods, abstractions like bravery, abstractions like manhood, abstractions like femininity, abstractions like sexuality, abstractions like domestic conjugal happiness into either scooters or dhupkati or soft drinks or hard drinks or say TV or say washing machine or any other commodities. Very similarly, like PC Chandra jewelry or say Anjali jewelry or say Guinea jewelry packages femininity into gold. So when we buy gold, we do not buy the gold, we buy the naritto and the rubrics that are associated with femininity. So femininity is packaged as an abstract into the concretized gold and sells that gold as abstract as naritto, because capitalism packages that abstract into concrete, but when we buy that concrete, that is the gold or the Veet or the scooter or the Nano or the Pepsi, we consume that abstraction. To give you an example, Pepsi is a packaged manhood. So capitalism has packaged that abstraction of masculinity into Pepsi. But when we buy and consume Pepsi, we unpack that Pepsi. No. We open up. We took off that cork of Pepsi and let that masculinity flow and consume not the Pepsi. Nobody consumes the Pepsi. Everybody consumes the bravery, the courage that Pepsi and Mountain Dew have always associated themselves with, or capitalism has packaged them into. So when you will be vigilant and you will be watchful in streets, in markets, in shopping malls, in roads, in cabs, in stations, in bus stops, in metros, be more vigilant, be more watchful, and then you would see many more abstractions right in front of your eyes being packaged by capitalism into concretes. And we are consuming those concretes as abstracts back again. We are consuming those abstractions. We believe those commodities are not commodities. The consumers believe that those commodities are actually abstractions. That's why when you go into a nano car, we are never going into the nano car. We are always going into the room of domestic happiness. And these advertisements, these popular TV commercials, they interpolate you into believing that no, these are not commodities, these are not concrete commodities, these have already been abstracts. এগুলো কেবি এলসিডি নয়, এগুলোতে অ্যাবস্ট্রাকশন। তাই আপনারা ধূপকাঠি জ্বালালে মাতৃত্বের সুগন্ধ পাবেন, তাই আপনারা ন্যানো গাড়ি খুললে আপনারা দাম্পত্য সুখ পাবেন, তাই আপনারা মাউন্টেন ডিউ খেতে খেতে রিস্ক এবং বীরত্বের সঞ্চার হবে, তাই আপনারা পেপসি খেলে পুরুষ হয়ে উঠবে, তাই আপনারা ভিট দিয়ে লোন ছাড়ালে আপনারা খুবসুরত এহসাস পাবেন। Thank you so much for your time, for your patience and for your love. I promise to be back very, very soon. Time, opportunity and my schedule and routine permitting. Meanwhile, you keep vigilant, you keep watchful and find out this nexus between packaged concretization of capitalism and the unpacking back from LCD into that abstraction, and read, study, research more into culture studies. We'll see you very, very soon. Thank you.